A very warm welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast, your go-to series for unfiltered conversations with entrepreneurs shaping the future of business. I'm Ritwika Gupta, and today we'll be talking about something that could only perhaps happen in India. Yes, a country where one conversation can move seamlessly from Hindi to English, Punjabi to Bengali, sometimes all in the same sentence. So can India's many voices actually help AI understand the way we really speak, work and live? To decode this one voice at a time, I'm joined by Supriya Paul, CEO and co-founder Josh Talks AI. Supriya, welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast. It's a pleasure to be chatting with you today. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm super excited to talk to you today.
So, before we start talking about Josh and Josh Talks AI, I want to know a little bit about you. Tell me, did you always want to become an entrepreneur? Was that the plan from day one?
No, I think, I never felt I had it in me also to become an entrepreneur. It was sort of like a very far-fetched dream. But it just happened to me as a natural progression. While growing up, I was very fascinated by the power of human potential. But I was also cognizant of the fact that two people could lead very different lives. Someone who was equally ambitious, equally capable, could have a very different outcome in their career or, become a very different person because of the kind of opportunities they got, the kind of information that they got, the opportunities they got, and the exposure that they got. And that problem is something that, really stayed with me. And entrepreneurship became the medium to solve that problem. That can we create a world where there's, equal amounts of exposure going to every single person, creating equal opportunity. And that's where my entrepreneurship journey started.
When you started Josh, it didn't start off as an AI company, right?
Yeah.
It started off as a platform for connecting grassroots India with stories, like you said, knowledge, aspiration, right? So what was the initial vision?
Yeah, so the initial vision was that, can someone's story, if told in a certain manner, inspire another individual to take positive action in their life? And we traveled all across India and we realized that India is a land of extraordinary stories. And you know that because you interview so many people here. But many of those stories don't get seen, heard, or aren't given the right platform. Most often, media celebrates celebrities, CEOs, entrepreneurs, but what doesn't happen is that Kirana shop owner who has been able to send his daughter to private school, he is a role model for most of India because that's what India aspires to be able to do for their next generation. So the idea behind Josh was, can we bring out these stories in regional languages and create a way where the next generation of young people, when they are growing up, they have very relatable role models to look up to. Someone who's just probably one step ahead of them in their life and someone who can talk to them like a real friend, like a real mentor, not give a speech, but just be there, share their story and inspire them to do something with their life.
Right, so from social movement to AI now, tell me, because you spent years setting foundation for something much bigger. So what was that moment when you felt that, okay, it is time to do something different and a combination of, artificial intelligence. So what was the idea behind Josh Talks AI then?
Yeah, so I think what happened along our journey is that we built Josh into a platform that was viewed by close to 150 million people. It still is every single month. We created content in 22 languages at a time. We reached every nook and corner of India. And we understood, the India too that we talk about or the Bharat that everyone talks about. We understood the aspirations, the culture, the nuances. And we had people watching our content in every single pin code. So when the AI opportunity or the AI wave really came, I think just like every entrepreneur, we started thinking about how can we contribute to AI really, right? Like what is it that we can do? What is it that we can build around it? And we realized that most AI systems are trained on Western data.
Sure.
So they lack the context that's required to be able to understand real India, to understand the language that we speak, the nuances that we have, the culture that we have. And to be able to make that contextual, you need enormous amounts of relevant data. So we realized that maybe, the problem that we won't solve is building another model or building another application, but it's building the foundational infrastructure to make AI inclusive for India. And it kind of fits with what we started Josh with. Like the idea of Josh was creating equal opportunity, creating inclusivity, ensuring that technology doesn't leave anyone behind. And that's what we wanted to continue to do. That when AI works, does it work for tier 1 India or does it work for every single person in our country? And they can use it to their better. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But when we hear of AI, especially voice AI, which I'm sure a lot of people may not be very familiar with, just simplify that for us. What does that do? What does Josh AI, what are you trying to do here? And who is it for, really?
Yeah. So, okay, so let me explain it in a different way. Like whenever there has been some form of a technological revolution, an interface has been defined. So for example, when computers came in, keyboard as an interface got defined and everything before that completely changed. Then suddenly you had the mouse, which made life more efficient for you. Then the smartphone came and the way that you interact with the smartphone became touch. With AI, what's happening is that the world is now evolving and we fundamentally believe that the next interface will be voice. And to give you a small example, you have been using Siri or talking to Alexa for a long time now, but it's not become a part of your daily life. You are still typing on your phone most of the times. You're not interacting primarily with voice. But now with the advent of AI, what's going to happen is that every chat assistant that you use, every car that you use, you're going to be talking to your car. You're going to be talking to an agent who's selling you an insurance or a debit card, credit card, anything that you do, the person on the other end would be a voice agent. So that's, simply put, that's what voice AI is.
Sure.
And our role, or what we as Josh Talks AI are doing in this, is that for voice AI to become better, for it to be reliable, trustworthy, and include every single Indian, it has to understand our language. So, like, as an example, I was talking to one of the frontier models, and in Hindi, periods are called Mahavari.
Right.
So basically, I said something and I said, "ये महावरी के time पे ये कैसे करते हैं?" And the model transcribed it as Mahavir.
Oh.
And gave me a completely unrelated response. Right? So now look at where these models are going to be used. They're going to be used in healthcare systems. They're going to be used for agriculture. They're going to be used for education, for government schemes delivery. And if such mistakes are being made, then the output that AI will give you is completely, factually incorrect. So our work is in ensuring that we build the data, we build the evaluation infrastructure to ensure that AI is reliable and contextual for our entire country.
It's very interesting you said that, because India is a fascinating country and a diverse country with so many languages, and we are also speaking English and Hindi and, for me, maybe Bengali as well, all in the same sentence, perhaps. Do you see the biggest opportunity in this chaos? Like there is an opportunity perhaps that's untapped?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, what's happened is that when we think about AI, everyone is racing for a bigger model, a better model, a more intelligent model. But I think the opportunity that India really has is that it's so culturally diverse. Like you said, we have 22 official languages, we have 100 plus dialects, we have so many different cultural nuances that probably no other country has. So if something can actually work in India, it can become a reliable example for the rest of the world, right? So India can become a real testing ground for speech AI, for these models to become better and then be more reliable for the rest of the world. Like we have been a part of, the sort of the digital revolution where we built public goods, like we built UPI. We built Aadhaar, we built ONDC. So we've built like solid public infrastructure that, the entire nation is running on, enterprises are being built on. I think for AI, again, we have that opportunity. Can we build evaluation standards? Can we build frameworks? Can we build the right kind of benchmarks? And then can these be used by other countries reliably?
And I think that's already happening, because I also read that a lot of AI labs around the world, they're using your data sets and benchmarks. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think, for a person who built a media company originally and was talking to a very different audience to now basically building with some of the top companies in the world and ensuring that their models are working better. The learning curve for me personally has been incredible, and it's been really steep because you're working with the top minds in the world, right? Like researchers and academicians are at the backbone of building better AI. So I think it's been an incredible journey. And people often don't realize that, when we speak about AI, we speak about models, we speak about applications or compute, but the data is the boring part. The data is the hard part. Like for you to be able to use AI for your better productivity, like enormous amounts of representative data has gone into it. And that's sort of where we come in.
Supriya, did you ever feel at any moment that, hey, this may not work out?
Yeah, I think I feel it even today at times. The world is moving so fast that every 6 months you feel like you're behind, because there's some new shift that's come up, there's some new technology. And I think I felt it often, and especially during when we were transitioning as an organization, right? When we were pivoting, what you originally start off with becomes something that you're very tied to. It's very close to your heart.
Yeah.
And then you start evolving, you realize that there's something more that you can build. And that transition period is very hard. And to change your business model completely, to change your team, to learn a completely new, different skill set. I think that's when you really start second guessing yourself and you feel like you're 100% going to fail. There's really no other outcome for you. So I think that happens, but every entrepreneur pretty much goes through it.
Right, absolutely. In my show as well, I speak to so many entrepreneurs, and AI has become a standard buzzword in business. But tell me, do you think people are getting something wrong about this space? Do you think there's something that people are misunderstanding about artificial intelligence?
I think people have two extreme views or beliefs when it comes to AI. I think there is one set of people who believe that AI is everything and AI will change the world and it's the future. And then there's another set of people who believe that AI will replace everything and AI will replace all of us. And I feel that that's a misconception, because the truth is that it's going to lie somewhere between. And that's where I feel that we also have to kind of figure out how we are going to use AI to ensure that it's not replacing humans, but it's actually helping us do our jobs better. It's helping us lead better lives. It's helping us contribute to being more productive citizens and to achieving bigger goals in life.
Yeah.
I think the other misconception that people have is that AI is human. And that AI now has knowledge which is at par as a human being. It's got the emotions and context intact. I think we are very, very far from that right now. I think AI, we still have to, ensure that these models are learning our context, our languages, our nuances, and becoming smarter with what we need every single day. So I don't think that's happened. AI is not equal to a human yet.
Sure. So one other conversation that we keep having, if AI is going to replace jobs, so that's like a standard conversation as well. What is your take on that? Do you think AI will replace jobs, or do you think we'll just sort of, redefine what we consider valuable?
I think it will redefine what we consider valuable, because I feel like with every kind of revolution that happens in technology, jobs shift. But jobs are created also as a result of it. If you think of the Industrial Revolution, manufacturing changed, agriculture changed, then with the advent of the internet, entire industries got reshaped. So many things have brought about so much change, but the type of jobs have changed with every revolution that's come about, right? And I think with AI, what's going to happen is that basic tasks are getting automated. There's a lot of transformation that's happening in work, and it's change. It's change that's happening at a scale that we've never seen before, so we feel scared. But at the end of the day, the jobs that require human values and context are becoming more valuable. I think people are going to realize that human judgment, creative thinking, critical thinking, problem solving, crisis management, all of this is going to become super important. And even when you look at blue collar jobs, right, they are also becoming a lot more valuable now.
Yeah, absolutely. Supriya, just shifting gears, talk to us about your funding journey, because with each funding round, there are some trade-offs as well. What has been your journey when it comes to raising capital? Just walk us through that.
So we built Josh Talks, a media business, almost as a very frugal bootstrap business. So we actually raised an angel round when we started, which was I think under $200,000, which is nothing if you look at the kind of capital that people raise now. And gradually, when we started building more consumer-facing products, we had our own English learning app. We raised a round of $3.5 million from Michael and Susan Dell's family office, from Ankur Capital and MDIF, a media fund based out of New York. So I think for us, funding has just been fuel to the next stage of growth that we are trying to hit. And now with where we are at, I think we're at the juncture where we kind of need to look at our capital needs again. Yeah. But we've been very lucky. I feel like a lot of founders have, faced a lot of problems dealing with investors on their cap table when they are pivoting or when they're evolving as an organization. But I think we've been very lucky and fortunate because we've had really patient investors and investors who've backed us. Sure. A lot of investors can come and say that I backed a media company. Like you're doing AI now, you're creating data sets and a benchmark. What's that got to do with the original business? But I think like our investors believe in us as founders, and they've like continued to double down with everything that we are doing.
Right. So, a lot of the entrepreneurs, whom I speak to as well, sometimes they are a little confused, which route they should take. Should they approach an angel investor? Should they actually go for a bank loan, or should they some subsidies?
Yeah.
What do you think is the right path for an entrepreneur, and is there a right time as well?
Yeah. So I think, it depends on the stage that you are at as a company and as an individual, right? I think for us, the angel round was valuable where we had a hypothesis and we wanted to test that hypothesis. So we needed people who were long-term thinkers, smaller amount of capital, but be able to take us to, from point 0 to say 1, and be able to prove that whatever we had thought of, it's coming to life and it's something that can actually become a product. And then when you reach that phase and you know that, okay, like you've reached a certain level and you've been able to prove that the product works, there is sort of like a PMF and you're seeing that already, is when you can look at growth capital. But I also feel that the AI wave has changed how capital works, right? There are companies who are raising hundreds of millions of dollars, but there are companies that have raised maybe no money or, $2 million and are already at $50 million in revenue. So you can do so much more with AI with so much less in terms of human resources and capital that I think this is also going to be a huge shift.
Yeah, absolutely. But how do you balance the pressure to, to scale and grow? Because this whole AI infrastructure ecosystem, I'm sure, you need to be constantly evolving. You'll need to be, investing in the latest technology. So how do you balance this?
Yeah, I think there's really no balance at this point of time. It's just going all in. Because like I was telling you when we were chatting informally that I am spending 6 weeks in SF and then I'm here for 3 weeks and I'm spending 6 weeks there. I think the world is moving so fast. New technology is coming in every single day that you have to just be at the core of learning and learning at a speed that you've never been before. So I think balance will come in maybe in the next 2 to 3 years when, we are using, like AI has just become a part of our life and you don't even notice that you're using the technology. You don't have to talk about it. It's just there. It's intuitive to you. So I don't think there's a phase of balance right now in anything.
No, when you look at the the broader startup ecosystem, there are a lot many AI startups that have come up recently. How do you see this industry like evolving maybe in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, I think everyone is solving for a different use case. So for example, when I speak of voice AI, right, there are a lot of companies that have built their own voice models or they have built on top of models that are already there and they fine-tuned it to different use cases. So I think like the testing and the building phase is done. I think what's going to happen now is that AI is going to get deployed at scale. You're going to be using AI across different industries. You're going to be using it for healthcare, agriculture, education. It's going to be there in schools, workplaces. It's just going to transform every single environment. So I think the companies that are going to stick are the ones that are able to build systems that are being able to get deployed reliably on ground, that are not breaking. Like in voice AI, there are a lot of models that exist. And if we are, speaking in a studio requirement, it's so quiet over here, that those models will work really well. They'll be able to understand you and transcribe whatever you're saying completely accurately. But the minute you're speaking to a model in a local metro or a bus or in a noisy environment, suddenly it doesn't capture what you're saying. And most of India doesn't live in a quiet room. We're on the streets, we're hustling, we're bustling. That's where we need to use AI. So I think AI that will stick, or at least voice AI that will stick, is one that's, being able to function across different deployment scenarios.
And we are also seeing a lot of women entrepreneurs, women in tech as well. Do you think it has become easier for women founders now to raise capital? The funding conversation, is the conversation changing right now?
Yeah. So yes and no. I think yes, because there are far more women. So earlier, when I had started 10 years ago, I would go to an event and I would be one amongst the 3. And we would know each other, and that's how we continued our journey. It was just the 3 of us backing on each other, that let's show up at different events, let's meet investors, let's network with each other. So I feel that has changed, because now when you enter a room, the ratio is much better. It's not great, but you would see at least 25 to 30 women to 100 men who are founders.
Yeah.
But I think capital has still not reached that stage. There is still a bias involved. capital mostly goes to companies where there is a male co-founder counterpart and not just a solo female founder. So there is still some level of hesitation. And then the other thing is that deep tech and tech is very different from, consumer facing products.
Got it.
And there are very few women in deep tech. So again, I feel like that is something that's going to be another shift that will have to come through.
Wow. Tell me, Supriya, what is your overall vision? What's your larger vision for Josh Talks AI?
I think my larger vision for my life is always been that, create a world of equal opportunity. I think I've been lucky because when I started Josh Talks, it was a YouTube channel, and YouTube and the internet revolution in India spiraled. So we went from one single channel to, so many different languages, to 150 million people watching our content every single month. And we got lucky with that revolution that happened. I think the same thing is happening now. And what I'm really excited about is that with the advent of AI, there shouldn't be a further digital divide. That India 1, India 2, it should just become one single India that is being able to use technology to their advantage. Because just imagine the potential, like a kid sitting in a small town or a village in Bihar today has access to the best teacher in the world. Someone from, imagine you're just talking to someone who is can speak in your language, explain every single fundamental concept to you, but be at the level of a Stanford professor because of how it's been trained, the model. So if you've got that exposure in life now, can you really change the outcome of what you will do? And I think that just that just leaves me very, very excited about the future.
So we are wrapping up this conversation on this note. You wrote a book, All You Need Is Josh. So tell me, what does Josh mean to you today?
So I think the definition of or the meaning of Josh for me has also evolved. Back when I started, Josh for me was ambition, it was drive, it was giving confidence to people to get up and do something with their life. I think Josh for me now is more about curiosity. It's about learning really quick. It's about changing, the next frontier. So I think I have now a more balanced, low energy version of Josh, but something which is far more defined and far more meaningful for me.
Fantastic. Well, more power to you, more Josh to you. Thank you so much for being on the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast.
Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. Before we wrap up today's episode, here's a quick look at our LOT cheat sheet, a quick rundown of the top takeaways from today's episode. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Leaders of Tomorrow Vodcast. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations and keep chasing those big dreams. Until next time, this is Ritwika Gupta signing off.